What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today I'm checking out the Benchmade Tagged Out. Before we look at that, on the patch mat today I have two patches from Loosenut EDC. These are part of a set, so both of them come with two patches in alternate colorways. Like this one has a red lightning bolt on the other one, and I think a gray skull. So cool patches, definitely check them out. I have several other patches from Loosenut EDC. He comes out with some really cool designs, so I'll link in the description to his store and Instagram if you're interested. Make sure you're following, because with a lot of these patch makers, they make limited numbers, and so they drop them and sell out relatively quickly. But these ones came out a while ago and aren't sold out, so I'm assuming we're getting pretty close to the end of the life cycle of those ones before new ones get released, and those ones are no longer available. But on to the knife. The Benchmade Tagged Out is part of their Hunt series. You can get this for right around $180 retail, and I got this in a Going Gear subscription, so it's hard to say exactly what I paid. The box is $200, but you get several other items, including another knife the month that this one came. And so the standard box is $60, so I'd say $140 is probably fair to say what we paid for this knife. And that feels like a really good price point. I've had my eye on this knife. I hadn't pulled the trigger yet, but I think at $140 I probably would have. And so there's obviously a Benchmade tax with Benchmade that you're paying a little bit for that brand name, but at $140, maybe even $150, I'd be much happier than $180. But with that being said, I really do like this knife quite a bit. It has a thumb hole deployment, which is a little bit different. A lot of Benchmades have thumb studs, but because this is part of their Hunt series, a lot of the design choices are taking that into account. And so a thumb stud, if you're using it to dress an animal, you might have blood and just things getting caught on it, and it's a little bit harder to clean, and overall a thumb hole is easier for use and easier for cleaning, and so it just makes a little bit more sense to use that thumb hole. It has a CPM 154 clip point style blade. That's 3.5 inches with a 3.4 inch cutting edge. You lose about 0.1 inch on that sharpening choil. The handle is 4.36 inches, and it's this Grivory material, which contributes to it being extremely lightweight, but also a really easy material to clean. It's going to be a little bit hit and miss, because similar to the Bug Out and Mini Bug Out that have this material, you're going to get a little bit of flex there. It doesn't really have any effect of the use of the knife, but people really seem to dislike that, but something to keep in mind. But it's easy to clean. The texturing on it's pretty nice and adds a lot of grippiness. Overall, the texturing on the knife, the jimping's in the right places, and on the finger guard here, just a really comfortable knife to hold. One thing I will note with these Grivory handles is they have kind of a sharp edge on the interior, not to the point of being uncomfortable or painful or anything like that, but definitely something that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if that'll eventually kind of round off over use and just go away, but it's definitely more noticeable than any of my other Benchmades, and I think 3 of them have the Grivory handles, and so a little bit more noticeable on this one for some reason than the other ones, but again, not super uncomfortable or painful or anything like that. The pocket clip really disappears in the grip. I'm able to get a full 4-finger grip on here pretty comfortably. And the pocket clip is reversible, so right or left hand tip up. It's their mini deep carry pocket clip, which is a pretty popular one. Has lanyard holes on the back corner here. And one thing I really do like is these back spacers. They just add a nice kind of pop of color. They're obviously orange as well, but a lot more shiny and noticeable than the rest of the handle, and so they really stand out there, and it looks really, really nice. My favorite thing probably about this knife, though, is just how lightweight it is. At only 2.1 ounces, it's absurdly lightweight. It feels like almost nothing in the hand and in the pocket. And so even though this is a little bit bigger than I'll typically EDC, I usually like around a 7-inch knife. Again, this one's 8.13 inches. It's one that I wouldn't hesitate to throw in my pocket, even if I'm wearing basketball shorts, something like that, because it's so lightweight at 2.1 ounces. It's also really thin, making it a more slicey style blade. The handle is 0.4 inches thick, the blade is 0.09 inches, although it doesn't come with a very sharp edge out of the box, which is kind of typical again for Benchmade. It's just something you expect when you get a Benchmade. They don't usually come super sharp, so definitely gonna need to touch this one up a little bit. But overall, I think for me, since I'm not using this as a hunting knife and more of an EDC knife, I really like it. I have seen some cool custom scales, but I'm probably not going to change them because one of the most appealing things about this knife for me is just how lightweight it is. And just for some size comparisons, I do have a bug out on the table as well as a mini bug out. So next to the standard bug out, this is the Supreme version, obviously, if you can't tell from the extreme billboarding, but it's about an inch bigger than the standard bug out. You're not getting that much more, but it is a little bit bigger than the standard bug out. And then for the mini bug out, it's probably a full 2 inches or so. Actually, I'll probably put it on this side so you can kind of see for some size comparisons. So you can see it's significantly bigger than the mini bug out, but not that much bigger than the standard bug out. Again, this one has those Grivory scales, so you'll see that flex a little bit. But this is one of my most carried knives, and I've never had an issue with that flex in any way, shape, or form, and I've carried it quite a bit, so I don't think it's going to be an issue here either. But always something that I do like to mention, if people freak out about it or just don't want a knife that has flexible scales, then this knife probably isn't for you. It does have an axis lock, just like almost all Benchmades, and that works pretty well. With the axis lock or axis style locks that you see on some other ones now that the patent's expired, that does mean that you're not really going to get a detent. It's got kind of a, if it is a detent, I'd call it a gummy detent. It's a weird thing to describe, but it definitely feels weird. It doesn't affect deployment. I'm not able to spidey flick this one, but I'm almost not that great at spidey flicking, so maybe you would be. But part of that, I think, is that Benchmade detent or that axis lock detent that's really, again, kind of gummy is how I'd describe it. I don't know if that makes sense, but overall, I think this is a pretty cool knife. Again, I'd probably want to get it around the $140 mark, but I'm not mad at the $150 mark. It's just kind of something that comes with the territory. Again, you're probably paying $25 for the logo anytime you get a Benchmade, but I have 6 of them now, so obviously it's not that big an issue. I do try and get them when they're on sale. Just like any knife, I'd prefer to get it on sale, I guess, so that's not really saying much. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you use this for hunting more so than EDC, I'd love your feedback as well. Obviously, I'm not a hunter. I'm EDC knives. I've never been hunting. I'd love to at some point, but just not something I do right now. So if you have different feedback from me as an EDC perspective, would love to hear about that in the comments. But thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. As always, hope you have a great one. Take care.